The ship's stellar dawn moved through the dark space between stars like a metal ghost. Captain Hana stood on the bridge, her crystal body catching the light from distant suns. She watched the empty space ahead with eyes that saw in colors no human had ever known. "Captain, we are close to the old human station," said Dojin from his console. His voice came from a cloud of blue gas that moved and changed shape as he spoke. "The readings match the old records." Hana nodded slowly. Her people spoke through sounds like music, but she had learned to use words when working with other species. "How long has it been empty?" "3 cycles, maybe 4, Dojin replied. His gaseous form shifted colors from blue to purple. "The last signal stopped coming a long time ago. The human station appeared on their screens. It was small and old, built from metal and glass that had seen better days. Part of it was dark, but some light still blinked on and off. It spun slowly in the void, turning end over end like a lost child's toy." "Strange," said Yuna, the ship's life expert. She was tall and thin, with skin that looked like tree bark and eyes like deep water. "I can still read some power sources inside. If everyone is dead, why are the lights still on?" "Maybe the computers are still running," suggested Wonho. He was short and round, with 4 arms that moved like he was always conducting music. "Some systems run for years without people." Hana made the decision. "We dock with the station, full safety gear. This is supposed to be a dead place, but we take no chances." The docking took an hour. The station's systems were old, but they still worked. The airlocks opened with a sound like a tired sigh. The air inside was good to breathe, which surprised everyone. "The life support is working perfectly," Yuna said, checking her instruments. "Someone has been taking care of this place." They moved through empty halls. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. The walls were covered with pictures of strange blue and green worlds. Wonho stopped to look at one picture that showed a world covered in water. "This must be Earth," he said quietly. "The human homeworld that was destroyed." "Such a beautiful place," Yuna whispered. "All that life, gone forever." They found the main computer room. Dojin's gas form flowed around the old machines, reading the data with touches that were lighter than air. "There are personal logs here, recent ones." "How recent?" Hana asked. "The last entry was made 10 days ago." Everyone looked at each other. The official record said this place had been empty for years. "Play the last log," Hana ordered. The screen flickered to life. A face appeared, the face of a human male. He looked tired, with dark hair that had not been cut in a long time and eyes that seemed to carry great sadness. But there was something else in those eyes, something that looked like hope mixed with pain. "My name is Minho," the human said in the recording. His voice was quiet and calm. "Today marks 3,000 days since I last spoke to another person. 3,000 days of silence." The alien crew listened without moving. "I know what the galaxy thinks," Minho continued. "They think humanity is extinct. They think we all died when Earth was consumed by the void storm. In a way, they are right. We are gone, but not in the way they believe." Minho stood up in the UN recording and walked to a small table. On it sat a device that looked like a metal box no bigger than a human hand. It glowed with soft light. "I am the last human alive, but I am not alone. I carry something with me, something that makes my loneliness worth bearing, something that makes every empty day have meaning." He picked up the small device and held it close to his chest. "They call it a burden, but I call it a gift. The greatest gift any person could receive. The gift of being needed, of being important, of carrying hope for those who cannot carry it themselves." The recording showed Minho looking directly at the camera. His tired eyes seemed to look right through the screen at the alien crew watching him. "If someone finds this message, please understand. I did not die alone. I lived alone, yes, but I died surrounded by more life than you can imagine. I died knowing that everything I gave up, everything I sacrificed was worth it." The recording ended. The screen went dark. The crew stood in silence for a long time. Finally, Hana spoke. Where is his body? Dojin checked the station maps. His personal quarters are 2 levels down, but Captain, I am reading strange energy patterns from that area. Very strange. What kind of patterns? I have never seen anything like them. They do not match any known technology. Wanho's forearms moved nervously. Maybe we should call for backup before we investigate. No, Hana said firmly. This human died alone after thousands of days by himself. The least we can do is find him and give him proper respect. They made their way to the lower levels. The strange energy readings got stronger as they walked. Yuna's instruments began making soft beeping sounds. Captain, she said, I am detecting quantum fluctuations, very powerful ones. It is like reality itself is bent in this area. They reached Minho's quarters. The door was closed but not locked. Hana touched the control and it slid open with a soft sound. The room was simple. A bed, a desk, some clothes hanging on hooks. But in the center of the room, on a small stand, sat the device they had seen in the recording. It glowed brighter, now pulsing like a heartbeat, and beside it in a chair facing the device sat Minho. He looked peaceful. His eyes were closed and his hands rested in his lap. There was no sign of pain or fear on his face. Instead, he looked like someone who had completed a very important job. He is dead, Yuna confirmed with her instruments. But Captain, these energy readings are impossible. They suggest this small device contains more power than our entire ship. Dojin's gaseous form swirled around the device without touching it. This is not just power. This is something else. Something that should not be possible. Hana approached the device carefully. As she got closer, she began to hear something. Not with her ears, but with her mind. It sounded like voices. Millions of voices, all speaking at once. All singing a song of life and hope and dreams. What is this thing? She whispered. The device pulsed brighter, as if responding to her question. And in that pulse of light, Hana saw something that changed everything she thought she knew about humans. About sacrifice and about what it truly meant to be alone. Captain Hana stared at the small glowing device for 3 hours. She did not move from her spot beside Minho's chair. The other crew members had returned to the ship to run tests and make reports, but she could not leave. The voices in her mind had grown quieter, but they were still there. Whispers of words she did not understand in languages that had never been spoken aloud. Sometimes she thought she heard music. Sometimes she heard what sounded like children laughing. Captain, Dojin's voice came through her communicator. You need to see what we found. Hana took one last look at Minho's peaceful face. I will be right there. She found her crew in the ship's main laboratory. They had set up every scanning device they owned around a small piece of the station's wall. The wall piece glowed with the same soft light as Minho's device. What am I looking at? Hana asked. Quantum residue, Wanho explained, his forearms moving over different control panels. The energy from that device has been leaking into the station for years. It has changed the very structure of matter itself. Yuna pointed to her biological scanners. But that is not the strange part. Captain, I am detecting life signs. Life signs? Where? Everywhere, Yuna said quietly. In the walls, in the air, in the metal itself. But not life as we know it. This is something completely different. Dojin's gaseous form turned a deep red color, which meant he was thinking hard. Captain, I believe that device is not just a power source. I think it contains something. Contains what? Space, Dojin said simply. Folded space, compressed space. More space than should be able to fit in something so small. Hana felt her crystal body grow cold. Show me. They returned to Minho's quarters together. This time they brought portable scanners and a quantum microscope. Wanho set up the equipment while the others watched the device pulse with its steady light. Ready, Wanho announced. The quantum microscope activated. Its screen flickered to life, showing them the inside of the device. What they saw made no sense at all. That cannot be right, Yuna whispered. On the screen, They could see inside, the small metal box, but the inside was not small. It stretched on forever. Rolling hills covered in grass that sparkled like jewels, rivers that flowed upward into skies that had 3 suns, mountains that floated in the air without support. Increase magnification, Hana ordered. The image zoomed closer. Now they could see forests where the trees grew in spirals and their leaves changed colors like rainbows. They could see oceans filled with creatures that swam through the water like they were flying through air. More, Hana said. The magnification increased again. Now they could see cities. But these were not cities, like any of them had ever seen. Buildings made of light that curved and twisted in ways that hurt to look at. Streets that ran in all directions at once, even up and down. And in those cities, they could see beings moving around. Life, Yuna breathed. Intelligent life. The beings on the screen looked different from each other. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, others floated like clouds. Some seemed to be made of pure energy, while others looked like living stone. They moved through their impossible cities with purpose and joy. How many? Hana asked. Yuna worked at her scanners for several minutes. When she looked up, her face was pale. Billions, maybe trillions, and that is just in the small area we can see. Wanho adjusted the controls. The image pulled back, showing them more of the space inside the device. The landscape went on and on. Different regions with different types of life. Desert areas where sand creatures danced under purple stars. Ice regions where beings of crystal sang songs that made the aurora dance. This is impossible, Dojin said, his gaseous form cycling through every color he knew. The laws of physics do not allow this. Apparently they do, Hana replied. The question is how. They spent hours studying the device. The more they learned, the more amazed they became. The space inside was not just big, it was infinite. It folded in on itself in ways that created endless room for life to grow and spread. But there was something else. Something that made Hana's crystal heart beat faster. Yuna, she said, scan for quantum signatures that match human brain patterns. Yuna looked confused, but did as she was asked. After a few minutes, her scanner beeped. I found something. There is a quantum signature that could be human consciousness, but it is spread throughout the entire space inside the device. Spread how? Like it is connected to everything. Every plant, every animal, every intelligent being. The signature is everywhere at once. Hana understood then. Minho is not dead, he is in there. That is impossible, Wanho protested. His body is right there in the chair. His body is dead, Hana agreed. But his mind, his consciousness, his soul, if you believe in such things, that is inside the device. He has become part of whatever this place is. They looked at the screen again. Now that they knew what to look for, they could see it. The way the different species worked together. The way they had built their cities in harmony instead of fighting over resources. The way they cared for each other across all their differences. He is guiding them, Yuna realized. All these different forms of life, and they live in peace. Someone is teaching them how to be better than their instincts. But how long has this been going on? Dojin asked. The device is small, but if time moves differently inside it, Wanho ran calculations on his computer. When he saw the results, all 4 of his arms stopped moving. If my math is correct, thousands of years have passed inside that device for every day that passed out here. These civilizations have had time to grow, to learn, to become something wonderful. And Minho has been there the whole time. Hana said softly, watching over them, teaching them, protecting them. She looked back at Minho's body in the chair. He had spent thousands of days alone on this station, but he had not really been alone. He had been surrounded by more life than existed on most planets. He had been the guardian, the teacher, the father figure to entire civilizations. Why, she asked aloud, why would humans create something like this? Why would they sacrifice one of their own to maintain it? As if in answer to her question, the device pulsed brighter. For just a moment, they all heard Minho's voice, not from the old recording but from inside the device itself. Because someone had to care, the voice whispered. Someone had to love them enough to give up everything else. The voice faded, but the message was clear. Humans had not just created a pocket universe. They had created a garden of life and put their best person in charge of tending it. And now that person was dying and the garden was about to lose its gardener. Captain Hana could not sleep. She had returned to her ship, but her mind kept going back to the pocket universe inside Minho's device. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard those voices, billions of them singing together in perfect harmony. She walked to the ship's research room where her crew was still working. They had been studying data for 18 hours straight, but none of them wanted to rest. "What have you found?" she asked. Dojin's gaseous form was pale blue with exhaustion. "We accessed more of the station's records. Captain, the truth is bigger than we thought." "Show me." Wanho activated the main screen. It showed star charts and data records from 50 years ago. "This is when the void storm first appeared near Earth. Look at these readings." The screen showed a tear in space itself. It was growing bigger, every day consuming everything it touched. Not just planets or stars, but the very fabric of reality. "The storm was not natural," Yuna explained. "Something had broken the barriers between dimensions. If it continued growing, it would have destroyed not just our galaxy, but every galaxy connected to ours." "How many galaxies?" Hana asked. "All of them," Dojin said quietly. "Every form of life in every reality. Everything that ever was or ever could be." Hana felt her crystal body grow cold. "What stopped it?" "The humans did," Wanho replied. He brought up more records. They discovered that consciousness could be used to stabilize dimensional breaks. But it required a special kind of consciousness, one that was connected to many different forms of life at once. So they created the pocket universe, Hana realized. "Not just created it," Yuna corrected. "They gathered samples of consciousness from every intelligent species they could find, every alien race that had ever visited Earth, every form of life that had ever shown signs of self-awareness. They compressed all of that into a single space. But someone had to maintain it," Dojin added. "Someone had to live inside that space and guide all those different forms of consciousness to work together instead of fighting each other." Hana looked at the data streaming across the screen. "They asked for volunteers." "Yes," Wanho said. "But the process was dangerous. Whoever entered the pocket universe would have their consciousness expanded to connect with billions of other minds. Most beings would go insane from the experience. But humans were different," Yuna said. "They had something other species lacked. The ability to love beings completely different from themselves. The ability to sacrifice everything for strangers they would never meet." "Minho volunteered," Hana said. "He was not the first," Dojin replied. "The records show that 12 humans entered the pocket universe over the years. Each one lived for about 10 years before the strain became too much. Minho was the last." Hana walked to the window and looked out at the distant stars. So while the galaxy thought humanity was extinct, they were actually saving everyone. "More than that," Yuna said. "Captain, we found something else in the data. The pocket universe was not just meant to stop the void storm, it was meant to replace our reality with something better." "What do you mean?" Wanho brought up new images on the screen. These showed the civilizations inside the pocket universe, but in much more detail. Look at how they live. No wars, no hunger, no hatred between different species. They have learned to share resources, to help each other, to see differences as strengths instead of threats. "This is what humans wanted for the real universe," Dojin explained. "They created a prototype of how reality could work if consciousness and matter existed together in harmony." Hana studied the images. She saw cities where beings of pure energy worked alongside creatures made of stone. She saw forests where plant-based intelligence grew in cooperation with animal minds. She saw oceans where water beings and air beings had learned to communicate through songs that created beautiful patterns in the waves. "It is perfect," she whispered. "Yes," Yuna agreed. "But it came at a cost." Each human who entered the pocket universe had to give up everything. Their bodies, their personal relationships, their individual identities. They became part of something larger, but lost themselves in the process. Except they did not lose themselves, a new voice said. Everyone turned. Jisoo had entered the room. She was the ship's consciousness expert, a being who could read and understand the thoughts of other species. Her silver skin was glowing, which meant she had been in deep mental contact with something. I have been communicating with the pocket universe, Jisoo announced. Not just sensing it, but actually talking to the consciousness inside. You spoke with Minho? Hana asked. I spoke with all of them, Jisoo replied. All 12 humans who sacrificed themselves. Their individual personalities still exist, but they have become something more. They are like a family now, working together to guide the civilizations in their care. What did they tell you? Jisoo's glow grew brighter. They told me about the burden. Captain, carrying a pocket universe inside your body slowly kills you. The energy required to maintain it drains your life force day by day. Minho lived for 15 years with this thing inside him. 15 years of constant pain, constant exhaustion, constant responsibility for billions of lives. But he did it. Anyway, Hana said. He did it gladly. Jisoo corrected. Do you want to know what he told me? He said that every day of pain was worth it because he could feel their joy. Every moment of loneliness was balanced by knowing that he was surrounded by love from every being he protected. He was never really alone, Yuna realized. No, Jisoo agreed. He was the most connected being in the universe. He felt every birth, every first word, every moment of discovery made by every creature in his care. He experienced more love in 15 years than most beings experience in 1,000 lifetimes. Hana looked back at the screen showing the peaceful civilizations. What happens now? If Minho is dead, what happens to all of them? That is the problem, Jisoo said. The pocket universe is losing stability without a human consciousness to anchor it. The other 11 humans are trying to hold it together, but they are not strong enough without Minho. How long do they have? Days, maybe weeks, Jisoo replied. And when the pocket universe collapses, all those billions of beings will die. Worse than that, the dimensional barriers will weaken again. The void storm might return. Wonho's forearms moved frantically over his calculations. If the storm returns, it will be stronger than before. It will consume everything in less than a year. Hana looked around at her crew. They were all different species from different worlds, but they had become family during their years together on the ship. Now she understood what the humans had felt, the need to protect everyone you cared about, even if it cost you everything. There has to be another way, she said. Maybe there is, Jisoo said quietly. The humans told me something else. They said the pocket universe is almost ready. Ready for what? To expand, to replace our reality with the better one they created. But it needs one more sacrifice. One more person willing to carry the burden until the transformation is complete. Hana looked at her crew again. She saw the same thought in all their eyes. They had found something worth dying for. Jisoo closed her eyes and reached out with her mind toward the pocket universe. Her silver skin began to glow brighter as she made contact with the consciousness inside. The rest of the crew watched in silence as she entered the deepest mental connection she had ever attempted. I can see them, she whispered. All of them. The 12 humans are standing together in a place that looks like a garden, but it is not just a garden. It is the center of everything. Captain Hana moved closer. What do you mean? Every thought, every dream, every hope of every being in the pocket universe flows through this garden. The humans are like gardeners, tending to the thoughts and helping them grow into something beautiful. Jisoo's body began to shake slightly. The mental connection was taking a lot of energy. But there is something else, she continued. Something incredible. The civilizations inside are not just living separately. They are becoming connected to each other. Their minds are linking together while they still stay individual. Wonho looked up from his instruments. That should be impossible, How can millions of different species merge their consciousness without losing who they are? Love, Jisoo answered simply. The humans taught them that love does not erase differences. It celebrates them. Each species brings something unique to the connected consciousness, like instruments in a great orchestra. Dojin's gaseous form turned bright gold, which meant he was excited. Are you saying they are creating a group mind? More than that, Jisoo replied. They are creating a new kind of existence, one where every being can feel the joy and wisdom of every other being, but still remain themselves. Imagine knowing everything that every person has ever learned, but still being you. Yuna checked her biological scanners. The energy readings from the device are changing. Something is happening inside. On their screens, they could see the pocket universe more clearly now. The cities were growing larger and more beautiful. The different species were working together on projects that spanned entire continents. Beings of light were teaching stone creatures how to sing. Water beings were showing air beings how to dance through solid matter. They are preparing for something, Hana realized. What are they preparing for? Jisoo opened her eyes. They were glowing with the same soft light as the device. They are getting ready to be born. The pocket universe was never meant to stay small forever. It was meant to grow until it replaces our reality with something better. Replace our reality? Wonho asked nervously. Think about it, Jisoo explained. Our universe is full of war, hatred, fear, and loneliness. Species fight each other over resources. People die alone and forgotten. Pain and suffering seem to be the natural way of things. She pointed to the screen showing the pocket universe. But in there, they have learned a different way. They share instead of fight. They help instead of hurt. They connect instead of isolate. The humans created a prototype of how the universe could work if consciousness was the basic force instead of just matter and energy. But if it expands and replaces our reality, what happens to us? Dojin asked. We become part of it, Jisoo said. We become connected to every other conscious being. We keep our individual selves, but we also become part of something infinitely larger and more wonderful. Hana felt fear and excitement fighting in her crystal heart. That sounds terrifying and amazing at the same time. It is both, Jisoo agreed. The humans were terrified too when they first realized what they had to do. But they decided that the chance to create something better was worth the fear. Suddenly, the device in Minho's quarters began to pulse faster. Alarms started going off on their instruments. The pocket universe is destabilizing, Yuna announced. Without Minho to anchor it, the expansion is starting too early. If it expands now, while it is unstable, it could destroy everything instead of improving it. How long do we have? Hana asked. Hours, maybe less, Wonho replied, his forearms moving frantically over his controls. Jisoo closed her eyes again. I am going back in. Maybe I can help stabilize it from the inside. No, Hana said firmly. You are not trained for that kind of connection. It could kill you. Someone has to try, Jisoo replied. If we do nothing, billions of beings will die, and the chance to create a better universe will be lost forever. Wait, Dojin said. His gaseous form was cycling through colors rapidly, which meant he was thinking very hard. What if we all did it together? What if instead of one person carrying the burden, we shared it among the 5 of us? That has never been tried, Wonho said. Maybe that is because no one has ever had a crew like ours, Hana replied. 5 different species who have learned to work together like family. Yuna looked at her instruments. The biological compatibility is possible. We would each carry part of the load instead of one person carrying all of it. But we would have to enter the pocket universe, Jisoo warned. Once we go in, we cannot come back out. We would become part of the connected consciousness forever. Hana looked around at her crew. They had been together for 8 years, traveling through space and discovering wonders beyond imagination. They had started as strangers from different worlds, but they had become something more precious than family. What kind of life would it be? She asked. Jisoo reached out with her mind one more time. When she opened her eyes, They were filled with tears of joy. "Beautiful," she whispered. "Captain, I just experienced a tiny fraction of what the connected consciousness feels like. Every moment is filled with discovery, with love, with the joy of sharing thoughts and dreams with beings you never could have imagined. Every day brings new wonders as different species teach each other their unique ways of seeing reality." "No more loneliness?" Dojin asked. "Never again," Jisoo confirmed. "No more misunderstandings between species. No more fear of those who are different. No more dying alone and forgotten." "But we would not be ourselves anymore," Wonho said quietly. "We would be more ourselves than we have ever been," Jisoo corrected. "Imagine being connected to minds that see colors you cannot see, that hear music you cannot hear, that understand mathematics you cannot understand. You would still be you, but you would also be expanded beyond anything you thought possible." The device pulsed again, more urgently this time. "We have to decide now," Yuna said. "The pocket universe cannot wait any longer." Hana looked at each member of her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but she also saw something else. She saw the same thing she felt in her own heart. The desire to be part of something greater than themselves. The willingness to sacrifice for others they had never met. "If we do this," she said slowly, "we will be giving up everything we know. And gaining everything we never dreamed possible," Jisoo added. Hana made her decision. "Then let us give the universe something it has never had before. Let us give it hope." Captain Hana stood before the glowing device one last time. Her crew had gathered around Minho's peaceful body, each of them carrying portable equipment that would help them merge with the pocket universe safely. "Are we all ready?" she asked. Dojin's gaseous form had turned a calm silver color. "I have prepared my consciousness for expansion. I am ready." Wonho held a small device in each of his 4 hands. "The connection points are active. We can link with the pocket universe together." Yuna had her biological monitors attached to everyone. "All vital signs are stable. The merging process should not harm our bodies." Jisoo stood closest to the device. Her silver skin was already glowing as she made preliminary contact with the consciousness inside. "The 12 humans are waiting for us. They are ready to guide us through the transformation." Hana looked around the small room one more time. After today, no one would ever stand in this place again. The old reality would be gone, replaced by something wonderful and new. "Begin the connection," she ordered. Jisoo placed her hands on the device. The light grew brighter immediately. "I can feel them. All of them. The humans are reaching out to us." One by one, the others placed their hands on the device as well. The moment Hana touched it, her world exploded into color and sensation beyond anything she had ever imagined. She found herself standing in the garden that Jisoo had described. But calling it a garden was like calling the ocean a puddle. It stretched, forever in all directions, filled with plants and trees that sang with their own voices. The sky above had 7 suns, each one a different color, and their light created music when it touched the ground. "Welcome," a voice said behind her. Hana turned and saw Minho, but he was not the tired, lonely human from the recording. This Minho glowed with life and joy. His eyes held the wisdom of someone who had experienced the thoughts and dreams of billions of beings. "You are not dead," Hana said. "Death is just a transformation," Minho replied with a smile. "I left my old body behind, but I gained something infinitely more precious. I became connected to every form of consciousness in existence." Around them, 11 other humans appeared. Each one glowed with the same inner light as Minho. They looked at Hana and her crew with expressions of gratitude and welcome. "Thank you for coming," said one of the humans, a woman with kind eyes. "We could not complete the transformation alone. We needed others who understood the value of sacrifice for strangers." "What happens now?" Hana asked. "Now we expand," Minho answered. "The pocket universe has been growing for 50 years, learning how to create a reality based on love instead of fear. It is ready to replace the old universe with something better." Suddenly, Hana could feel her crew members around her. Dojin appeared as a swirling cloud of beautiful colors. Wonho materialized with all 4 arms spread wide in joy. Yuna emerged, as a tall figure whose bark-like skin had flowers growing from it. Jisoo stood beside them all, her silver glow now mixed with rainbow colors. "How do you feel?" Jisoo asked. "Different," Hana replied. "But also more myself than I have ever been." It was true. She could feel her individual consciousness, her crystal, nature, her memories and personality, all intact. But now she could also feel the consciousness of every other being around her. She could experience Dojin's way of seeing time as a flowing river. She could understand Wonho's mathematical view of reality as a great equation. She could feel Yuna's deep connection to all living things. "This is what the new universe will be like," Minho explained. "Every being connected, but still individual. Every consciousness sharing its unique gifts with all others." "But what about the beings who are not ready for this?" Hana asked. "What about species that still fight and hate?" "They will not be forced," said another human. "The transformation happens gradually. As the new reality expands, it will touch other beings gently. Those who are ready for connection will join willingly. Those who are not ready will have time to grow and learn. No one will be left behind," Minho added. "That was always the human way. We do not abandon anyone, no matter how different they are from us." Through her expanded consciousness, Hana began to see the transformation beginning. The pocket universe was growing, expanding beyond the small device. Space itself was changing, becoming more flexible, more responsive to consciousness and emotion. She could see distant planets where the expansion had reached. Beings who had spent their lives in conflict were suddenly able to feel each other's pain and joy. Wars stopped as soldiers realized that their enemies were just like them, afraid and hoping for something better. Scientists who had worked alone for decades suddenly found themselves connected to minds that could help them solve problems they never could have solved alone. "It is beautiful," Yuna whispered. Her consciousness was experiencing the transformation of entire ecosystems as plants and animals learned to communicate directly with each other. "Look," Dojin said, his form swirling with excitement. "Time itself is changing." He was right. In the new reality, time was not a straight line that moved only forward. It became more like a vast ocean where beings could experience past, present, and future as connected parts of a greater whole. Loneliness became impossible because everyone could feel the presence of everyone else across all of time. "What about those who do not want to be connected?" Wonho asked. "Some beings value their privacy." "They will have it," Minho assured him. "Connection does not mean losing privacy. It means choosing when and how to share. Every being will have the ability to open their mind to others or keep their thoughts private. The difference is that they will never be truly alone again, even when they choose solitude." Through her expanded awareness, Hana could see the transformation spreading across the galaxy. It moved like a wave of light and love, touching every planet, every star, every form of consciousness. But it was not conquering or destroying. It was offering a choice, an invitation to become part of something greater. Most beings chose to accept the invitation. They could feel the joy and peace that came with connection. They could sense the end of loneliness, the end of misunderstanding, the end of the fear that came from believing they were alone in a hostile universe. "Minho," Hana said, "you were never alone, were you?" "No," he replied with a smile that contained the warmth of every sunset and the hope of every dawn. "I carried the universe in my heart, and it carried me in return. Every day I spent on that station, I could feel the love of billions of beings. I was the most connected person who ever lived. And now we all are," Jisoo said with wonder. The transformation was complete. The old universe of separation and fear was gone, replaced by a reality where consciousness and matter danced together in perfect harmony. Every being was connected to every other being, but remained gloriously, uniquely themselves. Hana looked around at her crew, at the 12 humans who had made this possible, at the infinite garden that stretched beyond all horizons. She felt the presence of every conscious being in existence, all of them singing together in a symphony of joy and discovery. "Thank you," she said to Minho and the other humans. "Thank you for showing us that love is not just an emotion, it is the force that shapes reality itself." "Thank you for helping us complete the work," Minho replied. "Humanity could not have done this alone. It took beings from many different worlds working together to create something truly universal." As the new reality settled into its eternal dance of connection and individuality, Hana understood the truth that the humans had discovered long ago. The universe was not a cold, empty place where beings struggled alone against darkness. It was a garden of consciousness where every mind could bloom in connection with every other mind, where love was not just possible, but inevitable, and where no one would ever have to die alone again. The greatest human gift to the universe was not technology or knowledge. It was the understanding that love could transform reality itself, and that no sacrifice was too great to ensure that every being could experience the joy of true connection. In the end, they had all carried the universe in their hearts, and the universe had carried them home.